Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. In this week's episode of Body by Design, I invited my clients to join me for an open discussion around navigating the festive season when you have health and body composition goals. So enjoy this podcast as I chat freely with my clients. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Body by Design. Today's episode is about managing the festive season while we're still reaching our health goals and potentially body composition goals. So it's always such a social time of the year where we've got a lot going on, and particularly when we're in a health journey, going out can feel like a challenge sometimes when you've got goals that you want to meet. So I thought it would be good to put together a few tips and tricks on how you can manage the season. One of the first things I want to address, though, we kind of get to December and everyone's like, it's party season. And I do get that we've got a lot of social occasions that are coming out, but we need to understand that it's a holiday, not a holiday, not a holiday month. It is a holiday that we have. So if we focus on the holidays, it's more like Christmas Day, possibly Boxing Day or Christmas Eve, depending on what's happening with you, maybe New Year's Eve. So we need to start reframing that rather than looking at it as an all out for December, and just making different choices that help us navigate a time in our life when we're trying to improve health, improve body composition, and those sorts of things. So if you are in any of the position of body recomposition, being losing body fat and gaining muscle, you're usually in around maintenance calories when you're doing that. A fat loss phase, so you've got a leaner physique, or whether you're healing hormones and trying to increase your metabolism. They're usually things where maybe we need to start considering some sort of compromises in life. It took us, if you're in one of those phases, it's taken you time to get into a space where you need to change things, and they're not going to change overnight for you. So things and choices need to change to make that happen. And rather than having the throw the baby out with the bathwater type attitude, you can still navigate the social season by being selective around what you choose and realistic on what the results will be. For example, the more events that you choose to eat off plan, you need to understand you're probably not going to achieve fat loss goals for the week or the month. And you need to have some acceptance around that, or things may slow, because the other choice is stay to plan and miss out and don't have all the food and the drinks going around. But it would be nice, because it does need to be more of a lifestyle, that in the early stages of healing and changing our body composition, if there can be compromise, so you're not missing out on everything. So the harsh truth is our social events shouldn't be a priority over our health and body composition goals. And you do need to start prioritizing yourself. So this Christmas, think about giving your health and your priorities as a gift to yourself and making yourself a priority for once. So I think we can still navigate this time of year and still have some enjoyment and not miss out on everything. So, top tips for getting through the year. I would say that this is the time of year where, for all other days outside of celebrations, you probably really do need to tighten up on your macros and your type of food choices, particularly if you've got a lot of hormone issues, your food choices, the types of food you're eating. You could meet your macros, but if you're still eating crappy foods, that's going to impact health-wise. If you have those body composition goals, it's time to really be bang on with your macros for everything else. So if you're going out for a dinner, have it a dinner, but keep your macros tight for the rest of the day and plan in advance for that. So keeping tight on macros and food choices for the month would be the first one. Then pick your top events that are happening and maybe pick, say, 3. It may be, we know Christmas Day is obviously going to be one of those ones that we want to just be able to enjoy. And it may be Christmas Day and, say, Christmas Eve. A lot of us have to share our time amongst families, and that can be done across a couple of days. So maybe choose Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then a social event might be, well, I want to prioritise my work social event. So now you have 3 days in that month that you still can socialise and still enjoy the great foods and possibly have the odd drink. So you're not missing out altogether, but stay tight in everything else. And all the other events that happen, though they're great to go to, they shouldn't be the ones that become priority. That should be where you prioritise yourself, and you can plan your food choices in advance. So for the events where you're not prioritising the event, you're going to choose to prioritise yourself. Things that we can do to help stay on track with macros is find out the menu in advance and make choices around your macros. So if they have a great steak and a baked potato on the menu, that's something really easy to choose, a protein and a carb, and you might fit a Coke or an orange juice in there, and you fit that into your day. Know what a serve of protein looks like for you, what a serve of carb looks like for you. So if it's going to be potatoes or something like that, you might go, okay, so it's a palm size of potatoes and a half glass of orange juice is about what I would have for carbs. I'd have a small palm size piece of meat. You don't have to eat everything that's on your plate. Australia's fast following America, where we have this desire for everything to be massive meals, where we really don't need to be eating that much. You also don't want to starve yourself through the day. So have your plan. You may want to trim back a little bit on a couple of your meals through the day to give you some more wiggle room for that meal in the evening, but don't ever go hungry, because you turn up there in front of all this food, you're going to be hungry. So there's some tips around the events that you're choosing not to make your priority. When you talk about your events that you are going to choose as your priority, the 3, the 2, even the 1, whatever it is, go and enjoy the food. Don't track for the day. Like really, Christmas Day, don't track. It doesn't have to be that obsessive that you can't go and enjoy Christmas Day. Just know that when you get there, it's not the end of food source forever. You're going to have great, delicious food all the time. So have a little bit of everything. Maybe don't go back for a second and third plate, but don't deny yourself those good foods. Have some Christmas pudding. If you love Christmas pudding, have some Christmas pudding, but it doesn't need to be a ginormous serve. You know, have the turkey, have the ham. They're all great things. Prioritizing your protein on your plate as well to make sure you get enough of that. It fills you up. But if mac and cheese is there and you love it, don't worry about it. Just eat it and enjoy. The key is don't overindulge. It's like at Christmas time, yes, it's festive and everything, but you can still be happy and enjoy everyone's company without filling yourself to the brim where you can't move. It doesn't need to be like that. So reasonable choices around serving sizes, and don't deny yourself, and just don't track for the day. I do think that those weeks where you choose to make those events priorities and not track, you have to understand that your calories are possibly going to be higher that week, and that you may not have as much fat loss if that's what your aim is, or it may be slowed. So there needs to be a level of acceptance that if you are going to choose the odd days, that things may just be a little slower in results, but you've still been able to enjoy, and you're not behind the 8 ball when you get to January, when everyone else is rolling around unable to do their pants up on January 1st going, that's it, need a New Year's resolution. You are already halfway there by making better choices over the festive period. And the thing is, it doesn't actually have to be like this every Christmas, where you're choosing between the events and paring back a little bit, because, you give yourself a year of doing your phases of fat loss, muscle building, healing your hormones, getting your metabolism up to speed. You honestly don't have to think about it as much. When I'm in maintenance, I really don't track that much. I kind of just intuitively know the things that make me feel good about how much I need to eat. I have times where I indulge, maybe overindulge, but my body is receptive and bounces back very quickly. Do I do it every day in that season? No, I'm still reasonable about it, but it really does become this lifestyle thing where you don't need to be so conscious about everything that you choose, because it doesn't affect your body as much. But before you get there, there does need to be some compromises, because there's been a long time in our life that has gotten you to where you are, and something needs to change. So it doesn't mean missing out. It just means making better choices. And probably the last one that I would touch on would be alcohol. First one I'll say is, if you are dealing with any significant metabolism downregulation or hormone issues, stay away from alcohol. At the end of the day, alcohol is a toxin to our system, and it really does overburden our system. And when our metabolism is downregulated, or we're having hormone issues, we don't detox as well, and it's going to have a significant impact. So if you are someone that is suffering some more significant health issues, my advice is just don't drink. If you are in a better state and you want to just make some wiser choices, have a drink or two. But don't overindulge. Have a soda water in between each drink. Be aware that alcohol is twice the calories of protein and carbs. So that's going to have an impact as well, because it's going to significantly increase your calorie intake. Then you add mixers in on top of it. If you're drinking something like a scotch or a whiskey or whatever, you might put Coke in on top, and that's going to obviously have significant calories there too. So you need to be aware around that as well. But it doesn't mean that you can't drink. It just means in this season of life, it may need to be a little more limited than overindulging. And that is about prioritizing you. I think when it comes to alcohol, we're in a culture in Australia where you're not celebrating if you're not drinking. And some people do feel really uncomfortable or unsure on how to handle other people's projection onto you. I've found a space in my life now where it really doesn't bother me, and where people are like, oh, well, why don't you have a drink? It just doesn't bother me to say no anymore. But I do know that it can be a really uncomfortable position. I just see it as a reflection on them. If they become quite pushy about it, it's because they don't want to look like the one that's overindulging, so they bring people into their realm. Things that you can do to help navigate is Have some responses pre-made. I think a great one always was, oh, I'm the designated driver tonight. Pretty much cuts that one off pretty quick. You could choose to get a wine glass and put some soda water in it, and always have a glass in your hand. Generally, if you have a glass in your hand, people aren't going to say much, whether it's a wine glass or whether it's a short glass. And if it's like, oh, hey, what you drinking tonight? You can say gin and tonic. How are they going to know? Are they going to sip on your drink? It's enough, and then just change the conversation and move away from it. There are some fantastic non-alcoholic drinks out there, particularly in the beers at the moment. I know my partner does drink a lot with the alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic beers, because he's left with one kidney now. Drinking's really not an option for him now. He does very occasionally, but not much at all. And that's been a hard thing for him to navigate as well, non-alcoholic beers. So he said they taste great. I'm personally not a beer fan, so I can't comment, but he said they taste like a beer. They're nice and refreshing. He feels like he's joining in because he's got it. Usually they are marketed to look a lot like a beer and in a stubby holder. No one really knows the difference anyway, and it avoids a lot of questions. So he feels like he's taking part about it. I think the best part out of all of it is you wake up the next day, and when you actually get to the other side and you wake up the next day, you go, yeah, actually, I'm so glad I didn't do that, because the next day's a write-off. You feel like shit if you do drink. So it's always, sometimes it's tough in the moment, but I guarantee you'll get to the other side. And when you're waking up fresh as a daisy and everyone's like a bit, you'll be going, yeah, I'm glad I did that. So there's a few things that you can do to help deflect those questions around our culture of drinking means celebrating, and you're not celebrating if you're not drinking. But definitely go with some pre-armed one-liners that you can kind of throw out and then quickly change the conversation. And it's usually the best way to go about it. So I think they would probably be my top tips around getting through the season and, still enjoying Christmas Day and enjoying being with family. So now I'll throw it open to anyone if they've got any questions specifically around things happening in their world. No? Faith? No. I couldn't see a shake. I could see the other shaking their head. Did you have any questions around navigating the social season?
Well, it's difficult. I think I assume it's like practice as well. And like what we've talked about, being kind of clear before you go there about what your goals are.
Yeah. What do you think is the most difficult thing? The missing, like for you, is it the missing out? Is it the expectation of others?
I think probably it's a lot to do with the missing out.
Mm-hmm.
And having the option there so accessible makes it difficult to like sometimes it's easy at home when you've like created your environment to be easy and not have those foods that are like higher fat or whatnot around as much, then it's a bit easier. Whereas when you're in a social setting or with pre-ordered meals and stuff as well, so that's probably the hardest part. But I think it is just being honest with myself rather than like, my favorite thing, putting my head in the sand.
Yeah. Look, I think, you hit the nail on the head with creating habits, especially when you're early on in your health journey, creating those habits and really prioritizing you to get there. I think it really it really helps to draw on knowing that it doesn't have to be like this long term. It doesn't always have to be about being so selective, but there does need to be some compromises to undo the position that you're in. But by the time you've given yourself, like I said, you give 12 months of lifting and just eating well and staying on plan 95% of the time, and just having, I think you missed the beginning of the conversation where it was about it's a holiday, not a whole month. And just understanding that you cannot track and just choose reasonably for a day without it doing damage. I think it's when our choices become larger serves. Going back
Yeah,
to
I think
second.
it's like I actually think like when you're like, you don't have to do it forever, it's probably like the choices change because you get that they become a habit. So it's not like you're not like looking for opportunities to blow out because you know how good you feel. But when you're in the early stages, and that's probably where I'm at, it's like you don't really like, but you're still kind of like, but that other drive is so strong. Whereas like once you get 12 months down the track, you've really like worked that muscle habit to know what your limitations are and how much you can eat until you don't feel shit the next day and it doesn't impact on things. So I just think it's that first like 6 to 12 months. It's hard, especially when you haven't really done it before, I guess. When I've never really done it. I'm not really a person that limits myself in anything.
And then that's where I drew on the alcohol thing. To me now, it's nothing to say no to drinking. And I'm not suggesting that everyone has to give up drinking forever either. I just, alcohol is one of the things for me. I can quite easily now say no. Put a block of chocolate in front of me, maybe a different story. But alcohol, I actually can say no fairly easily now. And probably once or twice a year, I have a special event and I do have it. If I see the bottom of a bottle of wine, I pay for it the next day. Absolutely. And we're only talking like, what's in a bottle of wine? 4 or 5 glasses of wine. I pay for it the next day. And Faith, it's where you're talking about that, you logically know you're going to feel better. Well, when you feel so good and then you feel so shit out of those actions, it only takes that once and then I go, yeah, I don't need to do that for a long time now. I just value feeling good too much, but it's taken time to get there. It's taken practice to get there, and you need to give yourself time to get there. And this is where it just becomes about that discipline to stay strong. Tracy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share my experience of coming off quite a few little episodes of having to go to various things. And this week I'm trying to get myself back sorted on track following a long road trip, bit of a celebration, and then back home. So I had a bit of a rude awakening, and Lou, this will be really interesting to you. You said to me when I get back to make sure that I have my carrot salad, right? Well, I've paid attention to everything else this week except the little tiny details. And I've forgotten my liver tablets, and I got a new bunch of liver tablets delivered. I've forgotten to take them. I've forgotten my oysters, and I have had no carrot salad. So today I've gone, oh my goodness. So I just got back into the whole focus of not only the macros, but all of that extra stuff, and like thinking, oh my gosh, that it's the devil that's in the little bit of the detail, actually. And I've been feeling really, really crap for the last few days, especially getting back into the gym. I've got a new program, like we're pushing really hard again. And oh my gosh, like yesterday, I could not move after gym. I went to bed for 3 hours. I laid down on the top of the bed. I slept for 3 hours. I never do that. And so then I realized it's actually, oh my gosh, it's the attention to detail. So what I've done today is I decided to reverse everything that I've been doing. So I would kind of hold off and try and get to the evening and sort of load up in the evening so I don't wake up in the night. And what I don't know why I thought that I needed to do that. That was madness. So today I had, breakfast. I had fats early. I had, a heap of like 200 grams of watermelon. I just chose things. I was at the gym, then I was in the car and I'm buzzing around and doing lots of stuff. And I just, made sure that I ate from the top of the day a lot better. And tonight I am so stuffed full of food. It's a completely different feeling. And I've had my liver tablets and I didn't have oysters, but that's tomorrow's job. Just all that stuff. And the carrot salad is just waiting there for me. That's my dessert now for the next week.
The bloody carrot salad. I tell you what, after 5 or 6 years, even I am sick of the carrot salad, but it works. Not everything about it is going to be enjoyable. Most of our foods are really, really enjoyable and great and make us feel wonderful. There are some where you go, oh, shit, do I have to do this again? But self-care isn't just about doing the things that feel good and the indulging. It's about doing the things we know we need to do. And like you're saying, the devil in the detail, Tracy, it's not sexy, but it's getting back to basics. The basics are actually really important. You can take any supplement under the sun, but if you're not doing the basics, like balancing your blood sugar, which is really what Tracy's talking about today, making sure from when she wakes up, she's having a great breakfast, she's eating regularly through the day, she's having, good carbs and proteins through the day. So you feel good and you balance your blood sugar. You don't have those highs and lows, crashes, cravings when you do that. Really, really simple things and keeping those basics going. And if you keep those basics going through this season, like we listened to Tracy and what she's learned from that, and she's like, I've eaten better from the beginning of the day. Most of our social time tends to be in the evening. So you think if you've eaten well from the beginning of the day, and Tracy's now, I feel stuffed. She doesn't feel like she's starving hungry. If you were to go out and have dinner like that and socialize like that, those tempting foods are less tempting to overindulge in. If it's one of your chosen events where you're not going to track for it, it assists you in not overindulging when you do have a small amount of that food. If it's one of those events where you're saying, well, actually, this one isn't a priority to me, my health is a priority, I'm going to stay in my macros, it makes it easier to choose the better food rather than going off plan. So, yeah, that's really great to hear, Tracy. For a couple of you that don't know, Tracy's been around for quite some time and she's had an amazing journey from not knowing how to track at all and getting into the gym. She deadlifts like a beast now. She's lost 13 kilos and she knows it's a journey. It is not a 12-week program. It's a journey, and she had a pretty rough ride in the beginning. She had some significant deaths. I think there was 3. We had some very key people in her life, and a lot of them she had to travel for. So she had to navigate a lot of that. And though it wasn't perfect all the time, she was still recomping, building muscle. And now we've been able to do a fat loss phase with her. Now she understands her macros, and she did awesome at that as well. And Tracy's now chosen to go back into maintenance. So it's easier to manage the festive season. And then coming out the other side, we'll do another fat loss phase with her. She's prioritizing her training and everything at the moment to keep that muscle growth going. So she's had an amazing journey. Ali, I see you cropped up in there. How are you?
Hey, sorry, I couldn't unmute it. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. You jumped in a little bit later on, but did you have any specific questions around navigating the Christmas period?
Well, I'm not sure if you've already spoken about it, but one thing that I always tend to do is overindulge,
Yep.
especially at Christmas, because that's just, I know people like to do that. And I always go for the really carby, like lots of potato, lots of dinner rolls. That's my guilty pleasures.
Yep.
Um,
So
yes, I
are
guess.
you just referring to Christmas Day, or are you just talking
Yeah.
about special events a lot?
Mainly Christmas Day. The special events coming up. That's one thing I'll have to talk to you about. But there's quite a few, like a couple each week leading
Yep.
up to Christmas.
Yep.
Yes, I guess it's those.
Definitely going back and rewatching this, because I like you're hitting on a couple of things that we have. So I've spoken about choosing some key events rather than every event being a priority. I mean, you've done an amazing job. For those of you who don't know, Ali, we've been together now 5 months.
Yeah.
Probably be about that. Ali started in a bit of a fat loss phase. She'd never been in a gym before, and she's getting into the gym now and learning a lot new skills. She's early on in the piece, but she's embracing all of it. And she's had a great fat loss journey as well, and is now in a maintenance phase, ready to go into a bit more of a harder recomp phase in the new year. But one of the things I've loved about Ali is the way she's been able to take up the information and apply it. And, eating out, you've done that a few times and made better choices and things like that. I think also with you've been so adherent. I also had to say to her, go out and have a meal where you don't track it. Just don't track. Just go and enjoy a meal with your husband, because, 5 months of staying on task constantly, it's time to learn, and it's time for your body to learn that you can have those odd times where you don't eat. And I think, Ali, Christmas Day is going to be the same. Just don't track for the day, but have and don't deny yourself. But it's that portion control. We don't need to go back for second and third plate, but we don't need to say no to everything. One day is not going to undo you if you don't overindulge. But I think going back and listening to the things about prioritizing and choosing priority events and events that where you choose your health and goals as a priority as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Jenna, was there anything that you had? You need to unmute.
Yeah. I don't really have any questions, but I've only just started. I think Saturday was like my first day on the chronometer app, so with recording my foods and whatnot. But I find that I know you say don't record what you're doing on Christmas Day if you don't want to, obviously. But I find that recording it really makes me feel accountable for the foods I do choose. You know what I mean? Like, it makes you think twice about, like, oh, should I really have that? Maybe extra, like Ali said, extra bread roll or whatever. So I think it's sort of it helps me a bit, but it's only been a few days, so I don't know. Yeah.
I love how reflective you're being so early on already. And, I think there's been a perception around tracking as being a restrictive thing, but tracking is actually a really great data tool to give us a big picture. And, just putting in that one bread roll, you go, wow, that's what it does to me. And you know what, for you, this is your first week in, but if you felt like on Christmas Day you wanted to track some of that to hold you accountable and maybe make you think about that second serve or that second bread roll, that's okay to do as well. It's what fits for you, but I think, when I'm saying about not tracking on Christmas Day, it's about relieving some stress from people and realizing that you're not going to undo all your damage if you can demonstrate some restraints, better, just reflecting on better choices. And for you at this early stage of learning, if those better choices come through you getting that education on your app and you're comfortable doing that, you still don't need to miss out. You still don't need to necessarily meet your macros on the day, but using that education to what a special dinner out or a festive season and how easy it actually can blow out might be a really great educational tool for you. Like I said, one day is not going to undo you, but track it and see what it actually all does.
Yeah.
See the sneaky fats that are in there and why we get to a place of probably overindulging quite easily when we don't really realize what are in foods, but putting in that app shows you.
Yeah. I find too, like what Tracy was saying about like how she's really full today, I find that with myself as well. Like even on the Saturday when I first started, I was just like, oh, I don't even feel like chocolate. Like I would smash a bar of chocolate easy every night, even though I was full. Even though I just had dinner, I'd be like, bang, I still want a chocolate. But now, I don't know what it is. Like I just feel really full and I don't want that extra chocolate. I don't want that chocolate at all. So maybe, hopefully, at Christmas time, on Christmas Day, it is like that too. I don't know.
So start your day, and I mean, everyone's Christmas looks different. So if you have a Christmas day that you're going out or you're having people over and it's going to be lunch or dinner, make sure you start your day with a really good breakfast. And if it feels like lunch is not going to be until, because I find, I don't know about you lot, but lunch just seems to be quite late in the day. If you're going out, pack a snack, a really well-balanced snack. So we talk about making sure that there's protein, carbs, and a little bit of fat in all your snacks. Pack a snack and take it with you. Yes, you're going to be having there's going to be a lot of food around, but if you want to help manage some of that overindulgence and you're being reflective on what you're like, and Ali's saying for you as well, you're being self-reflective that it is overindulgence. Have a good breakfast, take a snack with you. So if it's getting long in the tooth before you get lunch, what that's going to do is balance your blood sugar. And that's why you're not having those cravings, Jenna, because you're balancing your blood sugar and you're feeding your body constantly through the day, that your body still isn't trying to demand extra from you. And that actually can help you with when you see those foods that you really do love and, maybe are going to blow things out, that you can go, yep, well, okay, I'll just have a small serve of it.
I think I noticed that balancing the blood sugar the first day. Is that,
Yep.
Do you, yeah. Wow.
Yep. And this is what Tracy was talking about, going back to the basics. She was crashing in the afternoon and needed a nana nap, and she went, for whatever reason, she'd gone to loading everything up in the evening, and she's like, what am I doing? Reverse that back and gone back to what we know. And I mean, Tracy's been doing this for a while. The great thing with Tracy is because she's been doing it for a while now and she's learning those skills, she can actually draw on that now, and she understood what was going on and worked it out, was like, hang on, I've got this wrong, flip it round. So this is where the coaching becomes fabulous, that you actually learn the skills to manage yourself. And like Faith said, it can take 6 to 12 months, but you do that time and you commit to making yourself a priority and learning this, not just be given a program and, follow a program for 12 weeks, really learn it. you get to walk away afterwards and know that you'll always be able to manage your health and weight in whatever way, shape or form that looks, from fat loss, lifestyle maintenance, getting leaner, building muscle. All those things you get taught as you go through them, and you learn to navigate them around all life circumstances. So did anyone have any other questions around the Christmas holidays and how to manage that? Oh, Tracy? Yep.
Have you got some really good groovy recipes you can share with us?
Christmas recipes. I'll see what I can drop for you. I'll be honest, like, for example, look, I know one of the things we say is, stay away from the poofers. They're inflammatory, and seed oils, all that sort of stuff. Again, it's once a year. I make my mum's homemade potato salad. I hope you enjoyed this episode with me chatting with my clients and providing some of the information that I provide them within my coaching container. Unfortunately, we did have some Zoom tech issues right at the end, so it has been cut off a little abruptly, but we were winding up. So if you've enjoyed today's podcast, please feel free to leave a review below or share on social media, tagging me with @strengthtraining.nutritionist. And until next time, enjoy.